out here, Reverend.
What do you know? Visitors.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Kiwi channel. Today we're going to be reviewing Reverend, a boomer shooter created by Twisted Sickle and published by DOSman Games. You'd be forgiven for believing that this is a hidden gem of the 90s when as a matter of fact it came out just this month. Although bite-sized, with my first playthrough being roughly 45 minutes long, there's a lot to unpack. Make sure to like and subscribe as I dive into how Reverend, although having some shortcomings, proves itself to be a captivating experience, oozing passion. In Reverend, you assume the role of a church caretaker whose parish has been infested with demons and fanatic devotees. With no one better suited for the task, it is your job to delve into the heart of darkness, beneath Monolith Church, to put an end to whatever evil has seeped into and infected the very soil we all walk upon. While there is undoubtedly a narrative unfolding throughout the game, Reverend is not inherently story-driven. With how quickly you're thrust into levels, and how short the game is overall, you do most of your thinking after you put away your keyboard and mouse. I'm not saying Reverend has a bad story, or even no story at all. I'm just saying it's really easy to forget it exists. This could be remedied, however, if you take the time to read the manual. Out of all the games I've ever owned digitally, I don't think I've ever taken the time to open a digital manual, art book, or soundtrack. Reverend broke that streak for me and I'm glad it did. It thoroughly reminds me of when I was younger, buying a physical game for my 3DS or Wii and entertaining myself on the car ride home with the manual included. The manual contains a message from the developer, a brief overview of the story, as well as descriptions for weapons and enemies, which is a wonderful, personal touch. Akin to other genre-defining boomer shooters such as Doom and Quake, you find keys to open doors and progress through non-linear sandboxes. Throughout your journey you find all manner of weapons. A melee weapon called the Hammer of Judgment, dual revolvers called the Peacebreakers, a shotgun called the Boomer, exploding apples called the Forbidden Fruit, and whatever the Shatterer is. These weapons are widely unbalanced, meaning that although you get access to most of the weapons very early on, I spent most of my playthrough using the shotgun, simply because it did so much damage compared to my other weapons. On top of that, I felt as if I took more damage from the environment than from enemies in the game. Most enemies are either light-footed glass cannons or slow-moving bullet sponges. Even the boss fights in the game can be exploited, either by abusing high ground on the map, or by using the overpowered Forbidden Fruit, which knocks down the enemy's health in chunks. There are also these unbreakable statue-esque enemies which fire glowing balls at you. These served more as a means to anger me rather than challenge me, as they were too frequent and served only to make everything in the game feel artificially stronger. Given its desire to market itself as an authentic 90s inspired boomer shooter, it's a shame that a game such as Reverend suffers from being too easy. It could benefit greatly from preset difficulty settings or even a hardcore mode that severely limited ammo and health which otherwise would be in abundance. Seriously, I don't think I've died on any of my playthroughs. The novelty of smoking cigarettes to heal wears off very quickly if they appear every time I turn a corner, and it's hard to feel any sense of accomplishment when you exit a boss fight with more HP than you came in with. Aside from difficulty, it's a shame that the game has no Steam achievements. Through this, the dev has an opportunity to use the game's short playtime to encourage speedrunning and replayability. If they want to increase retention, add achievements for beating the game under a certain time, or using a certain type of weapon for the duration of a playthrough. It's little things like these that keep players coming back to the game that has the potential to be great. Despite some of the shortcomings in gameplay, the game's graphics and level design alone are two reasons why I believe you should purchase the game. Similar to Doom and Quake, it blends low-quality 3D environments with 2D models, making for a distinct art style. Our characters' hands look as if they were texture mapped and downscaled. It's the same with enemies like the Devotees, who through the graphical limitations look eerily real in a way no hyper-realistic AAA game can reproduce. Graphically, levels are well crafted to embody that of an environment which does not want you in it. Halls and graveyards are dim, with your torchlight reflecting harshly against each blocky wall and floor. Each level is designed with tons of secret areas which I've not even uncovered the better half of in my various playthroughs. These secrets include health and ammo, nods to people who supported the development process, and even cameos of other games in the genre. It's these little things that really make Reverend what it is, and although I was born in 2006, narrowly missing the birth of 3D gaming, it's games like Reverend that remind me I'm still nostalgic for an era of gaming history I never grew up in. Despite its shortcomings, Reverend is still young and evidently oozes passion. I have no doubt that considering the time and effort spent developing the game, the developer will have no problem listening to player feedback and eventually patching the game into an optimal state. Regardless, for $2.99 on Steam, it is impossible to go wrong with, and I highly encourage picking it up today. Lastly, if you have anything to say about the game, please let me know in the comments below. If you liked the video, please consider subscribing as it helps me in the algorithm.